What is up, everybody? I am Steve SVU, and welcome to Week 4 of the MMC Pokemon Draft League. Last week, we may have suffered a disappointing loss against a Terra Uxie, but today is not going to be any easier, as we're facing ZeroPops and his squad, the Lokix Scouts. Zero's team is by far one of the most balanced teams in the league, with a terrifying offensive core of Roaring Moon, Terapagos, and Iron Moth, and an Azumarill that can even threaten a Belly Drum Sweep, Skarmory and Sandy Shocks, who make very annoying lead hazard stackers, and strong utility options in Galarian Articuno, Decidueye, and not to mention his Terra captains are insane, with Lilligant being able to Terra Grass, Fire, or Ghost, and a Hariyama who can Terra into a Fighting, Water, and Steel type. Zero's team may have a lot of massive potential threats, so first off, I want to find a way to be able to catch his setup options with a Mirror Herb Terra Water Sandaconda. Sandaconda is able to threaten massive damage with Earthquake if I manage to Mirror Herb his Azumarill's Belly Drum. And even if this doesn't happen, I instead copy a Quiver Dance or a Calm Mind. I can stack Iron Defenses and become incredibly difficult to KO thanks to Rest plus my Shed Skin ability. And Body Press allows me to utilize those defense boosts even more. Since Sandaconda is mainly a setup mon this week, I thought I could use some hazards, so Rocks and Polion takes the next slot. With Ice Beam, I can threaten his Flying, Dragon, and Grass types mons fairly well, including his Roaring Moon and Lilligant before it Terras. Roost as always helps me keep me healthy, and Flip Turn lets me get the opportunity to pivot in one of my more offensively potent mons, such as Choice Scarf Sneasler. Sneasler with a Choice Scarf is always able to threaten KOs against his biggest offensive threats, being Roaring Moon, Terapagos, and Azumarill, but it's also able to threaten poisons as I pivot around with U-Turn. Finally, Throat Chop makes its way onto the set, as it means handling a Quiver Dancing Lilligant as it Terra Ghost, as well as a potential Articuno Galar. However, one of the mons I don't have the best answers to is Iron Moth, and while it may not be perfect, especially defensive Rotom Heat can be a solid check. This Rotom is able to switch in fairly consistently thanks to boots, and threaten good chip damage with Overheat or Volt Switch, and if an Iron Moth is getting out of control, Light Screen can slow down its momentum. Same goes for Will-O-Wisp if I catch a Roaring Moon or an Azu switch in and burn them, which could be huge. Next up, I was thinking about which switch-ins I have for both Roaring Moon as well as a potential weakness policy Articuno, and I think Mandibuzz does a very solid job here. Mandibuzz is a solid check thanks to Toxic and Roost being able to style out turns, and while I don't want to knock off Articuno as to not trigger its weakness policy, I can however threaten knockoffs on just about everything else, and after all that I'm able to get a slow U-turn off. The name of the game this week is Pivot and Threaten Status, so with that being said, I'm bringing up Pivot Dragapult. Dragon Darts is always able to threaten KOs on both Iron Mon and Roaring Moon, and Thunderbolt can do massive damage into either Skarmory or Azu, two of his best switch-ins to Dragon moves. U-Turn fairly consistently allows me to pivot into my more defensive mons to take a hit and come right back out later. Finally, Thunder Wave lets me cripple an Agility Articuno or Iron Moth, as well as give me a win con in the late game with full paras. But that is it for Week 4 of the MMC Pokemon Draft League. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Of course, drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I upload draft content every week on Wednesdays, most of the time, so subbing will help you not miss any more future videos. Thank you to Elliot and Nate for the prep help this week. I really appreciate y'all. And with that all out of the way, let's get right into the battle. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the battle. Okay, so here we have Zero's team. No Iron Moth. Okay, that is crazy good for me. But that means that he has his Galarian Articuno. Okay. No Azumarill. Okay. I mean, I was sort of expecting just about any of these. It's just Hariyama and Galarian Articuno that were just, like, things that I haven't fully prepped for. I do think going for lead Sneasler is just obvious. Like, it's just my best option. It outspeeds everything on his team at this point, and there's just no reason to not go for it. So I'm gonna lock it in. If he leads Skarm, that's sort of the main thing that I'm not 100% sure about. But I do think leading Skarmory is still just okay. This is mainly just to punish lead Moon. Okay, yep. Lead Skarm, that's fine. I do want to just click U-turn on this. The main reason for that is I want to check if he is, in fact, Rocky Helmet. Is he Rocky? Weak Armor. Interesting, okay. Oh, okay. Red card. Alright. Okay. This is still okay, I would say. I don't love getting hazard stacked here. Okay, I'm trying to remember. Okay. So he could just go into Terapagos, or he could just like continue to hazard stack me. Let me check this. Yeah, I think going into Chefbot here is the best option. And then I can... I think Overheat is okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna get hazard stacked a little bit. Good thing I have 2 Bootsmons, so this should still be okay. Actually, I think I have 3. I think I'm gonna go Overheat, because I think he's going to expect me to Volt Switch. So I'm gonna Overheat here. Oh, okay. I mean, this is fine. This might just kill. Okay! So that's generally, like, a pretty obvious, just, like, suicide lead from him, if I'd have to guess. He's probably fine with it going down here. He got up 2 layers of spikes and stealth rocks. Okay. Booster. Right. Booster speed. Okay. I'm kind of expecting him to go for either a Volt Switch. Actually, no, he's not going to go for Volt Switch. I don't think he can set up on this. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go into Sandaconda. I resist basically anything he can do aside from Earth Power. And even then, I'm especially defensive Sandaconda. So I should be okay, especially since this is, okay. Ooh, that does a lot more than I expected. Alright. I don't want to sack this, because this is still just, like, good to have, as just, like, a switch into things. If I had to say anything, I probably should have switched in, Mandibuzz. I'm gonna switch back in this, because I think he's gonna either go for... I think he's gonna go for whatever the heck it's called. Earth Power again. Oh! Okay. This is fine. Alright. He's just calling me out. Okay, this is okay. Alright, now I'm gonna sack this. Just for the time being, I'm just gonna sack this. You could switch. That's a possibility. Okay. Oh, Roaring Moon. Ah, if I Willowed here, that would have been so good. Okay, 2 booster. Okay, I'm still just gonna sack this. I don't want this to set up on me. So I'm gonna Willow. This is fine. There. I don't want to exactly reveal that I am Choice Scarf, but I think it's kind of just obvious that I am. Whatever. I'm just gonna go for this, and I'm just going to click CC. Actually, I am going to U-turn, because I can U-turn into Galarian. Okay, if he goes for Galarian Articuno expecting me, okay. This is okay. Poison? No, no poison. Alright. What I want to do is I want to do this. Because I can probably just sack this if I really need to. Yep, that's fine. And then I can just go into Sneasler again and U-turn. This is still just okay. Because I already have one of his Mons down. The hazard stacking is not very fun for Sneasler here. But I mean, just going for U-turn is just fine. Yeah, there's no reason for me to just not go for this. There we go. And then Moon is gone. Okay. Very good. Alright. And then what I want to do here is... do I want to go Mandibuzz? Or do I want to go into this? This is a tough one. What does he have left? If I go this, he's going Hariyama. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go into... I think I want to go into Tiffany here. There we go, get a little bit of leftovers healing. And the main reason I want to do this is just so that I can be able to get a Toxic off. My light screen did wear off. Okay. I do want to get a slow U-turn off, I think. Okay, he just goes for Thunderbolt. Okay. Alright, Mandibuzz is essentially down now. That's a little unfortunate. I'm just gonna close combat this, I think. Yeah, now this I just close combat. I should kill? Oh no. Okay, I guess I really overestimated Sneasler's damage. That's my bad. Okay, got the poison. That's good. Yeah, I'm not really making my best plays. I definitely should have U-turned there. For whatever reason, I thought that would kill. Alright. Now I just Dragon Darts. Actually, I want to U-turn this. Okay. That gets knocked out. Very good. I got my 2 defensive Mons left. This does not bode too well for my winning abilities. Currently is still 3-3. It's just my 3rd Mon right now is not doing too hot. And he has 3 pretty much fully health Pokemon. So in just the damage game, I'm not doing too well here. Definitely making some misplays. Like if I U-turned there into Dragapult, I could have been able to just take that KO. Okay, I'm gonna flip turn this. Oh, bulk up, okay. And that is faster than me too. Okay. I do think I want to just go into this. He's bulk up. If I had Draco, that would have been so much better. I'm just gonna have to go for Thunderbolt. Just go for my damage. Okay. I assume this is Terra Fairy, if I had to guess. Yep. Oh, Terra Steel. Okay. Probably expecting me to go for a dragon move. Okay, so Draco wouldn't have mattered. But keeping Flamethrower on this like I initially wanted to, that would have helped. Okay. Yeah. Hariyama beats me here. I go 3-0. The only way that I maybe get bailed out here is with a bunch of para hacks. Yeah, no. Yeah, there's no way I win here. Bulk up, knock off, ice punch, and close combat if I had to guess. Yep, alright. That's on me, guys. Ain't playing too well today. Same as last week. I'm not gonna let it get to me too much. Freeze. Oh, Drain Punch. Okay. Alright. Well, yep. GG 0. Possibly we can do a post-game interview at some point here. Really unfortunate. I feel like maybe if I had a Flamethrower on Dragapult, this would have been a little bit better. But at the same time, it's Thick Fat, so probably wouldn't have mattered too much. But the possibility of getting a Flamethrower burn would have been better than a Para. So yeah, made a few misplays, which cost me the game. I'm definitely going to review that, and I'm going to try to do better going forward. But, yep, that's unfortunate. But hey, what you gonna do? Well, I can tell you what I'm gonna do. I am going to learn for next time. But yeah, that's just a little unfortunate getting predicted so hard like that with the switches. Because if I stayed in with Sandaconda and Earthquaked on the Sandy Shocks as he went for Power Gem, that would have done really well. Or heck, even if I stayed in with Rotom Heat and got the Will-O-Wisp off on the switch into Dragapult instead of overheating, that would have been better. Generally speaking, that would have been so much better. But hey, what you're gonna do, like I say, you get predicted some weeks, you get prediction other weeks. Really, at the end of the day, there's nothing really you can do sometimes other than just try to play around it, and didn't happen this time. But yeah, I'll talk to Zero and see if possibly we can do a post-game interview at some point. See you in a bit. Alright everybody, I have Zero here with me, ready to do the post-game interview. How are you doing, man?
Hello everyone. I'm surviving. That is how I would describe myself.
Yeah, that is definitely understandable. Honestly, you kind of cooked this week, not gonna lie. I was not prepared for, like, Galarian Articuno or Hariyama. Articuno didn't hit the floor, but Hariyama, like, no plans for that thing, like, whatsoever. Pretty much everything else was brought against me in mocks, like Skarm, Lead, not Red Card though, usually it was, like, Rocky Helmet. And then I was, like, hard preparing for, like, Azu and Iron Moth, not gonna lie. Those two absolutely cooked me in mocks.
Okay, I mean, Azu was really hard to bring, mainly because you have Indeedee, and if I don't have Aqua Jet, I can't really take the priority or any belly drum sets into consideration.
Yeah.
Same reason I didn't bring Bullet Punch on Hariyama.
Yeah, that's definitely very fair. Indeedee definitely had a spot on the team, it's just I didn't really know what else to bring instead of it. Like, if you saw the Sandaconda set, that was pretty much exclusively there as an Azu answer and a possible, like, reverse sweep option with the Mirror Herb, Iron Defense, Earthquake, Body Press, and Rest.
I feel like I was relying too much on setup, at least for the early season. I was still trying to find out how I want to build my team, and I built something. I know it sounds incredible if you look at my full roster, but it's the most balanced thing I've drafted so far. I really incline into offense. So this time around, I was feeling a bit uncomfortable when I had to slap on more bulky members of my team when I just wanted to hit hard and fast.
Yeah, that's definitely 100% fair. Like, it was tough for me because just initially right away, um, I felt like we were having a fairly good, like, even game for the most part. Like, as you could probably see, like, generally for the most part, I had, like, decent ways of at least, like, semi-handling your hazard stacking. Like, with the Boots Pult, Boots, Rotom Heat, and then Empoleon just resisting rocks. Same thing with Sneasler. The Spike stacking was a little rough, but it was, at the end of the day, things that I could handle. What really, like, put me on the back foot was the Sandy Shocks predictions. Those absolutely cooked me.
Oh, ask Dries about that. He has some trauma acquired over that.
Yeah, like I 100% like was sort of course initially I was expecting the Power Gem right away. Of course, that's why I switched into Sandaconda, because I was like, I can always just like eat the Power Gem and then like threaten him out like with Earthquake after the fact. But then when I saw that Earth Power 2-hit KO'd me, I was like, shit, that's rough. Oh, hit my mic.
Yeah, I didn't expect Sandaconda, no, sorry, Rotom Heat to take 2 Power Gems. I thought it would die in 2.
Yeah, it might have. I don't 100% remember the calc. Mainly, actually, wait. Did it actually live?
It lived 2 and set up a light screen, so I had to adjust my direction. I went into Roaring Moon to burn some turns. What I didn't want you to do. Let me start from the beginning. From my perspective, it was completely one-sided and not trying to boost my ego. It's because I had a game plan, and it really relied on getting some chip on Mandibuzz and Empoleon, get the Rotom weak, and when everything was in range, I could just bring one of my 3 sweepers and win. Yeah. And that went on pretty easily at the beginning. My anti-defog measures were basically Roaring Moon with Taunt and Knockoff just to chip. I didn't mind sacrificing it. I just wanted to knock things off and taunt the Mandibuzz or the Empoleon if it comes. And if I don't have it, I just bring Articuno and try to set up with a weakness policy set.
Yeah, I could definitely see, like, that's where your game plan is, and, like, in hindsight and everything, because to me, initially, like, of course, getting the chip on and everything, but that's sort of why I was playing the way I was with, like, Sneasler. I absolutely was, like, terrified of a potential, like, D-Dance set on Roaring Moon.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of forced me into go, like, that's why I went Choice Scarf over, like, a Choice Band set, because pretty much every Roaring Moon that I faced in Mox was either Booster Energy Speed, or it was just like a raw like or even like a banded set. I even saw like a few Choice Scarf sets, but oftentimes like that's why I led Sneasler. That's why I was constantly going into Sneasler, because I knew that I'd always be able to outspeed you at +1, and at least could like threaten you with a U-turn or a close combat. Because I knew U-turn wouldn't have killed you, but I knew that you would be afraid of dying to a close combat. So that's the main reason I was like playing that the way I was.
I don't like the way you thought about countering the Roaring Moon with Scarf Sneasler, because if I have booster speed and a Dragon Dance, I outspeed +1 Sneasler, because I'm like 2x 25 speed instead of ×2.
Okay. Yeah.
And I could never bring a Dragon Dance Roaring Moon, seeing that I have Mandibuzz on the other side. That thing just hard walls, hits Iron Head, and Iron Defense. Maybe I can taunt it, but it was just not the game to bring it. Even Necrozma kind of walls me if it has enough Iron Defenses and I don't bring it out on time.
Yeah. Like, of course, in retrospect, at the end of the day, it wasn't my best play, but it was sort of the best thing that I could come up with from what I was facing in Mox. Like, it worked out fairly well. And I was also forced to change a lot of things with Iron Moth too, because I was getting cooked a lot by Booster Energy Special Attack plus Agility. And
that's an interesting set.
Yeah, and then because then he would slot on just his dual stabs, Fire Dance, and Dazzling Gleam, and those things together, like that's the whole reason why I swapped Sandaconda from Terra Fairy initially as my Roaring Moon check to Terra Water, because that still helped out against Azu, and it meant that I would be able to eat at least a Fiery Dance, because I could come in on a Sludge Wave and then eat a Fiery Dance the turn after. So if you were carrying Discharge, then I was screwed, but at the end of the day, like that was sort of why I played it the way I did, and when I saw that no Iron Moth was coming, I played Sandaconda a lot more recklessly than I probably should have. Because
Yeah.
it was my Azu and Iron Moth counter, and once neither of them came, then I was just like, well, what the hell do I do with this thing now? So I was kind of just like taken aback, like I didn't fully plan for that.
I think the main reason I didn't bring Iron Moth was because Indeedee with Psychic Surge can set up Sneasler speed. I probably couldn't take many +2 hits, like a +2 Shadow Ball probably sends me to hell. And if you had like some Dragon Dance or Bandit Dragapult, you could probably deal with Iron Moth somehow. With Sucker Punch if terrain's not up, or just outspeeding.
Yeah. And the main reason I didn't do like an Unburdened set, because I was initially contemplating doing an Unburdened set this week here. The main reason I wasn't was mainly because all you could really, like, if I was Terrain Extender Indeedee, then that would help against Azu. But then, like, Terapagos, if you were, like, Boots, you just have to sack one thing, and then I would be forced to switch. Like,
I was even more prepared for that situation. Like,
Yeah.
as you can see, I sent you my team. My Terapagos doesn't have Rapid Spin, it doesn't have Boots. I just went, not Shell Smash, Rock Polish. Why? Because I thought about hazard stacking. If you're gonna get rid of hazards for me, I can just bring this in. So I had a Choppleberry. If you set up a +2 Sneasler, I'm always living that thing and killing it back.
Yeah. And like that's another thing too that I liked about your playstyle this week was you played like a hyper offense player for the most part. Like you sent in like your suicide lead, just got your stuff up, and then you just like let it die. You didn't try to preserve it or anything. You messed me up getting chip damage off on Sandy Shocks, and then pretty much everything else you just like switched it in, let it do its damage, and then just like let it die, and then that allowed you to set up Hariyama in the end. And like you would have been able to do the same thing with Articuno or Terapagos. At the end of the day, I just wasn't fully prepared for this kind of team to come, and that's on me. Like at the end of the day, like we're all very busy people. At the end of the day, it's not like we're full-time like content creators or anything, or like draft league players where we just do this all day every day. So it's hard to prepare for every single thing.
Even if you were like getting a read on this is pretty difficult. Like you can't expect weakness policy every game or you'll go crazy, or some EV like type reducing berry.
Yeah, and and also another thing with the whole prediction thing too. That's also another reason why I was so U-turn spam with Sneasler, because I was like, I don't want to click close combat because that just allows an Articuno to come in for free. And Articuno generally does well against like Sneasler in general, unless I'm like, choice banned, but your max defense, max HP, I'm pretty sure you'd still be able to live anyways.
Yeah. Agility also outspeeds like your Sneasler probably.
Yeah, I think it's
close to that.
I think it's close. I'm not sure if since you're min speed, I'm not 100% sure. It's pretty close. But yeah, like at the end of the day, like getting a U-turn off, it's a neutral damage hit, and I could switch in like Empoleon on it. Empoleon generally does well into Galarian Articuno, but
I have calm. I'm not sure about that. I have Calm Mind, and if you defog, you just get my competitive boost up.
I am fully Spidef, and I have Ice Beam as well too. Ice Beam plus Roost, and I'm fully specially defensive.
I would have to go into some stored power calcs. Like if you Ice Beam me, I'm a plus. Yeah, that kind of gets a bit wild. I think that was also a reason I contemplated this. I just thought, oh, if I get stored power up to 200 base power, he doesn't have a resist anymore.
Yeah. I'll actually just go into the calc real quick. Articuno, Galar. Oh, shoot. I forgot that I have my imported sets only turned on for one thing. Okay. Articuno, Galar, Calm Mind. And then you're 248 HP, right?
Yeah, I'm max.
Okay.
I just didn't put that much effort into it.
Right. And then you're at plus... I'll say like +3 if you get a Calm Mind up. And then... stored power. If you're at +3, stored power does 25 to 29%, and Ice Beam does 37 to... Actually, no, you're at +1 special defense if you go off that.
If you Ice Beam, you also give me 2 attack.
Yeah, you're at +3. You're at +3 special attack and +1 special defense and +2.
+2 attack.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you 2-hit KO'd me in that instance.
Especially with hazards up. It wasn't
Yeah.
the interaction I was preparing for, but I knew, like, even if I killed Empoleon, there's something else in the back just to take its place.
Yeah,
It's basically
for sure.
hyper offense, too much pressure.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, your team initially looks like a balanced team. Like when it came, I was like, okay, this looks fairly balanced. Like it didn't like looks insanely hyper offense because no Roaring Moon or no Azu, and I was like, I could possibly handle this like I would handle a balanced team. And then I played it like it was a balanced team, and I got hit by like a hyper offense type team. So at the end of the day, that's just something that I need to plan for going forward. It's not a good. What was I gonna say? I've had it's a rough schedule for sure. But
I don't think you should expect this all the time. Like,
yeah,
this is basically because I'm very comfortable with this playstyle, so I can bring it. But I see most people like to preserve differential or try to conserve their mons somehow.
yeah. And that's oftentimes what I have to try to like play around a little bit. I need to get better at learning when to sack my mons and when to preserve them, because I felt like I did a good job with I feel like preserving Rotom Heat. One thing also with Rotom Heat too, I was so 50-50 between going Overheat or Will-O-Wisp on Roaring Moon as you switch. Like I went for damage, but
Against the Sandy Shocks, I think so, right?
Yeah, it was initially Sandy Shocks and he switched into Roaring Moon. I was just like, if he takes the KO here, it doesn't matter regardless what I click, but if he switches here, it really just depends on what he wants to switch in. Like, the chip damage on Roaring Moon was nice, but I feel like if I Willowed that, I think that would have allowed me to... That would have just gave me the comfort. That would have given me more comfort. Like, I know you weren't.
Worst case scenario was going to be a Volt Switch against my Roaring Moon, so you can just position Sneasler or Dragapult against it. I think Will-O-Wisp wouldn't have mattered at all. My objective was basically knocking things off and taunting the defoggers. I did not mind sacrificing them on.
Yeah, like, but that's what I'm sort of trying to get at. It is the main reason that I feel like the Will-O-Wisp would have been better is it would have given me the confidence to do something different. Like, I wouldn't have...
Yeah, the mental game.
Yeah, it would have been a different mental game.
I felt amazing when I Earth-powered the Rotom.
Yeah, I was... Like, if I was predicting you to go for a Power Gem, that's why I switched into Sandaconda, and then going right back into Earth... What was I going to say? Oh, I can't even remember. But... At the end of the day, yeah.
I Earth-powered the Rotom, you went into Sandaconda, and then I Power Gemmed the Sandaconda expecting the Rotom. And then I hit the Rotom again trying to kill, but you survived and set up a light screen, so then I tried to burn the turns off.
Yeah. And that's also me too, not knowing like the specific calcs as well. If I knew Rotom Heat lived too, I would have just like set up light screen right away initially.
Yeah.
And that was another misplay on my part. I should have just gone for the light screen right away there, and then, like, Volt... Actually, no. I wouldn't have Volt switched.
I don't even know if you made the wrong play. You just made the safe play.
Yeah.
I don't know if setting up light screen turn 1 would be the correct one.
Yeah, it's not the objective correct play, but it would have been, in hindsight, the correct play. Like, it would have helped me out better with what happened. But... Because
it lets you defog easily.
Yeah. And that's also another thing. Yeah, I didn't have defog.
Oh, I did not check that out.
Yeah, no.
Oh, man.
Mandibuzz was knockoff, U-turn, Toxic, and Ruse.
Toxic.
U-turn, I just liked it because your team was generally, like, on the faster side, and Mandibuzz could eat, like, any one hit, so getting a slow U-turn off into something would have helped a lot. And then another thing I probably would have changed, like... if I knew that you weren't going to be Azu or Iron Moth, I probably would have, like, switched Sandaconda off with Indeedee. I probably would have gone that. I don't know if I would have changed it to be an Unburdened set, but bringing, like, both of those two together and keeping Sneasler as a Choice Scarfer and Indeedee as just, like, a damage dealer instead of just a terrain setter, I think it could have, like, thrown you off into making, like, different plays, like, if you were expecting me to be Unburdened. Like, does that make sense?
I mean, I didn't know you were. I only noticed you were in Burden when you clicked U-turn. I don't know how it would
Yeah,
reacted. I knew I had the Terrapagos as a safety measure, and like at any point I would just bring it up, click not Shell Smash, Rock Polish,
yeah.
and then I outspeed everything except on Burden Sneasler, which I had the answer for.
Yeah, like I do just feel like Indeedee here could have been like better. Just like in this specific instance, I feel like it would have been better.
I think so too. Indeed, it was a better matchup call.
Yeah, but I think Sandaconda was good for the things that I was like worrying about. It's just so happened the fact that you didn't bring those things that I was worried about. So that's just one of those things with draft is like you hard prep for a few specific things and all of a sudden those things don't come.
It usually happens when you spread out your points a bit more.
It's a rough thing to go for, but I mean, hey, that's just like an experience thing. Like, try and cover.
It's a matchup fish. It might seem very like one-sided if you look at it or if you see it from my perspective, but I'm basically one misplay away from crumbling down completely. That's kind of the structure of hyper offense. If you had like a crazy Sneasler set that I couldn't beat, I would have lost.
Yeah, and like you said, that's a whole thing. Like, heck, maybe if I was like a Glare set instead of like this weird Mirror Herb set, but at the end of the day, if it worked, it would have been funny.
Yeah.
And
I was even considering, like when I saw Mirror Herb, I expected, oh, he's predicting me to Dragon Dance in front of it, and then he's gonna Scale Shot sweep me or something with Coil.
Yeah, that's another thing I was sort of like thinking of doing too. I just thought that Mirror Herb was good. Also, it was good for Lilligant too, because if I Terra Watered and I got your Quiver Dance boost, I was able to, I wouldn't outspeed you, but I'd still be able to live the follow-up hit.
But what did you have? Earthquake and if I was Terra Ghost, I wasn't affected by Body Press, and I don't think Earthquake does enough. And Giga Dream probably beats you out.
I think so, and that was another reason why I was Terra Fairy initially. This was the last minute change. I literally genned my Mons like 5 minutes before beforehand, and I was just like, I really need something for Iron Moth. What are some changes that I can make? Terra Water on Sandaconda, Dragon Darts on Dragapult, because initially I was Draco, but once I realized that Iron Moth,
I think it was the right call.
Yeah,
I think Dragon Darts was good.
Yeah, I liked having Dragon Darts here, especially once I saw that it still did the damage that I needed it to do, while also not help me out better with Iron Moth. I felt like that was a better play. But yeah, like, what you gonna do? Like, at the end of the day, I didn't get 6-0'd, so that's the important thing.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, last week was rough. That was tough for the mental.
Oh, I got destroyed too. Like, it wasn't a 6-0. I kind of got bad luck with paralyzation, and I didn't expect an agility weakness policy Latios.
Yeah.
That did not went out too well.
Yeah,
it was also like a mess of a game that showed, like, he didn't want to play on cartridge, so we didn't change the showdown. It was also delayed for like a week.
Yeah.
And
it's a rough turn of events, but what you gonna do in draft? Everyone's here just to have fun, and sometimes things just don't work out the way that you think. So
yeah.
No, but is there anything else that you want to talk about at all with your team, or what you expected from me at all, or is that pretty much it?
Not really. I think I expressed everything. Kind of ashamed that I didn't play with all my toys.
Yeah, like that was another thing too. Like once I saw like your cool Terrapagos set, I was like, oh, it's a shame that thing didn't get to come. And like Articuno, and like Galarian Articuno, I love this mon. It is. This is not one of your Terra captains, no, because this thing with Terra is insane. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad for a reason.
Yeah, like I just couldn't for the life of me remember if it was a Terra legal or not, but I was like, Hariyama is there. That's probably his Terra captain. But I can't remember if we did or did not allow Galarian Articuno. Because I know with Terra, that's what makes the weakness policy set's so insane is
Yeah.
that you can eat a super effective hit once and then Terra out of that super effective hit the next turn. But at the same time,
the extra coverage, which is basically what it needs.
yeah, for sure. But at the same time, then we allowed Terra Rhyperior, which is essentially like a similar thing, like not like quite a stored power level, but like it's still a very huge like rock polish weakness policy like user. So I was just like, I don't remember. But
yeah, balancing draft is a nightmare. There's always like the snowball mon, especially the higher tier ones that you just can't deal with all the time because you have a limited roster.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I just absolutely love about like the team that you drafted. I had to consider literally every single mon on that team. The only thing that I saw on your team that I could be like, okay, this is probably not coming, is the Decidueye. Everything else I had to at least consider.
I was considering that guy for defog, but I couldn't break the Shadow Sneak if you brought in DD.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I cooked this draft. I had some help from a friend.
Yeah, like your team is ranked number 1 for a reason. It's definitely the most stacked team, I feel like. Like, just looking at it initially, you're like, oh, this is a pretty, like, standard, like, draft team. But then once you, like, dive deep into it, you realize, holy crap, this is actually an incredibly balanced team. And I don't know what to do about this.
It's about drafting tools that you want to use. Like, offensive Pokemon are always by definition inconsistent. If they were consistent, they would be banned. Defensive mons, on the other hand, if they're not consistent, they're bad. For some reason, like when you draft a very defensive team or a ladder stall team, you bring the 3 same goons: Clefable, Toxapex, and Corviknight. Why? Because with the combination of these 3 mons, you can basically wall 90% of the metagame. So this is why in draft, if you want to build a good defensive court, you get 3 mons. Or 3 mons. A water and a steel or a fairy type. And everything else is up to you to build tools to break other people's teams. And if you are able to collect enough Dragon Balls, then people flip out when they see the matchup.
Yep, that's pretty accurate. Like, I feel like the team that I've drafted this season, it's definitely very, like, matchup fishy. I feel like it's not quite as consistent as I would typically like. I'm definitely more of a bulky balance type player. Or, like, just, like, I'm more of those kinds of people. And this is a very, like, hyper offense, like, team.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, I'm just not used to playing it.
Like, from seeing your week 1 game, I got the impression that you were a very disciplined player. You are slow, you're methodical, you click Toxic, and you wait it out because you know you have the matchup. And the team you drafted has insane potential to just fire things up and throw one Pokemon after another and just break a team. It also can, like, spec into the bulkier side, but from my point of view, it's not your preferred one. You just like the methodical play.
Yeah, I'm definitely more methodical, like, take it slow, chip things down into range, and then, like, deal with it in the late game sort of deal. And it's really tough for me to try to turn my mind into a more hyper offense play, because that's just sort of how I've played Pokemon my entire life, is slow and methodical. So trying to rewire myself to other play styles is really difficult. And that's the main reason why I enjoy draft so much. It helps me become a better draft player, a better Pokemon player with more versatile team styles. And that's kind of why I wanted to draft this team. The
only way to improve is throwing yourself out into the fire and practice a lot. Mastering something takes time and it takes a lot of losses.
And believe it or not, I don't think I talk about this very often, but I've only been in draft for like a year. So it's been a slow roll. I've been in like 4 leagues total, I think, like 4 or 5 leagues total. So it's been a slow game, but I feel like every league I'm getting slightly better. So that's kind of like my main goal in draft, and that should be anyone's main goal. I feel like.
I feel like most players that are in the draft community mainly focus on playing draft and only draft. But one of the best ways you can improve is to play ladder, because I know it's not the same thing. You don't have the prep aspect, but it lets you get the basics for every play style, and you face better and better players. And just through exposure and amount of games played and actually trying, you improve everywhere else.
Yeah, I agree. And then another way of like thinking about that too is a opinion that I've heard from someone else in the draft community. Playing Ranbats can kind of help with that as well, because you're sort of just like put in like really shitty situations where you just don't expect something to come out, and you're sort of just forced to deal with it. Because that can happen a lot in draft too. Like all of a sudden, like something that you didn't expect comes way out of left field, and it helps you like helps your brain like
Yeah,
adapt
you have to
better.
manage your resources to like get the thing out of the field.
Yeah, I feel like both of those things help so much with draft, and I feel like both playing ladder, like you mentioned, or playing Ranbats, and especially doing both, will help you in draft as a whole.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty much
That was
all I have to say. Like super fun team. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of your games this season. Like you're doing a really good job. Like one loss last week, but overall, like you're doing really good so far, man. And I hope to see you and play you in playoffs.
Oh, I think I would be very surprised to not get to playoffs. I'm not even mad about my loss from week 3. It was just sometimes bad luck happens. And I felt like I was on the driver's seat for the majority of the game, so that also like helps me reconfigure into a win next week.
Yeah, for sure. Like knowing that, okay, I played this well. I may have lost, but that was out of like from circumstances out of my control. Overall, I played well. Learn a few things, play around a few things, but not gonna let it ruin the mental. That's a good way of thinking about things. Yeah.
Okay, 4 games left, and then the season's over.
Yeah. Sucks to go into this far in the season with a -3 diff, but we shall see. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me for this post-game interview.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and of course, everybody, if you're enjoying the Draft League content, please drop a like and subscribe, and I would greatly appreciate that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!
Bye-bye.